There's a weird moment that happens when someone asks you, "How are you?" And for some reason, you have no idea. Not because you're hiding something. You genuinely don't know. You're not crying. You're not happy either. You're just there. And somehow, "I'm fine" has become the easiest answer because explaining what's happening inside you would take too long.
You might have noticed it lately. You get home after a normal day, nothing terrible happened, nothing particularly great happened either. You drop your keys somewhere, take your shoes off, grab something to eat, and sit on the couch. Then you pick up your phone. You open Instagram, close it, open YouTube, watch half a video, check your messages. Nothing interesting. So you scroll again, not because you're having fun. You just don't really want to be alone with your own thoughts. And then suddenly, it's midnight. You look at the clock and think, where did the last 3 hours go? You go to bed, and tomorrow, you do it again. Here's what makes this confusing. Your life might actually be okay. You have people who care about you. You have things to look forward to. You can laugh, you can go out, you can have a great conversation. You can even get genuinely excited about something. But then the moment is over, and it disappears almost immediately. You're left wondering, why don't I feel anything for very long? And maybe that's the part you haven't been able to explain. You're not exactly depressed. You're not exactly happy. You're not even sure you're lonely. You just feel disconnected from whatever is supposed to be happening inside you. And if that sounds familiar, there's something important you need to understand. You probably haven't lost your emotions. You may have lost touch with them. Those are two very different things. Think about how you learned to deal with difficult emotions growing up. Maybe you were told to calm down. Maybe you heard, "Stop being so sensitive. Don't make a big deal out of it. You're fine. Other people have it worse." So you learned. Anger? Swallow it. Sadness? Keep moving. Fear? Don't show it. Disappointment? Pretend you didn't care. And at first, this can actually work. You become good at functioning. You become the person who doesn't cause problems. The person who can handle things. The person everyone calls when something goes wrong. You become reliable, independent, low maintenance. And people might even compliment you for it. But there's a hidden cost. Because your brain doesn't have a perfect switch for only turn off the emotions I don't like. When you spend years pushing feelings away, you can become less familiar with all of them, including the good ones. That's why you can achieve something you've wanted for months and feel almost nothing. You can finally get the message you've been waiting for and stare at your screen thinking, okay. You can be surrounded by people and still feel strangely alone. And here's the part most people miss. Numbness isn't always the absence of emotion. Sometimes it's what happens when emotion becomes too complicated, too constant, or too exhausting to process. Your brain starts protecting you from the noise. Imagine your phone buzzing every 30 seconds. At first, you check every notification. Then you get annoyed. Eventually, you put the phone on Do Not Disturb. The notifications haven't stopped. You've just stopped responding to them. Emotions can work in a surprisingly similar way, and this creates a strange problem. You start thinking, something is wrong with me. So you try harder to feel something. You plan trips, buy things, go out, meet people, start new hobbies, scroll more, watch another show, listen to sad music, anything that might make you feel alive again. Sometimes it works for an hour, maybe a night. Then you're back where you started. And this is where I want you to stop blaming yourself, because perhaps the problem isn't that you need more stimulation. Perhaps you need more honesty. When was the last time you admitted, I don't actually want to do this? When was the last time you said, that hurt me? Not joking, not minimizing it, actually admitting it. When was the last time you changed your mind without feeling guilty? When was the last time you sat alone without immediately reaching for your phone? These questions matter because reconnecting with yourself usually doesn't begin with some massive life transformation. It begins with noticing. You feel irritated. Pause. What happened? You feel exhausted. Ask why. You suddenly don't want to go somewhere. Instead of forcing yourself, ask what you're avoiding. You feel jealous. Don't immediately judge yourself. Get curious. You feel sad for no obvious reason? You don't have to solve it in 5 minutes. Sometimes an emotion doesn't need a solution. It needs to be acknowledged. And maybe that's the skill you never learned. Not controlling your emotions, not getting rid of them, just being able to sit beside one without immediately trying to escape. Because Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You can become incredibly successful at surviving a life you don't actually feel connected to. You can have the career, the apartment, the relationship, the friends, the routine, and still wake up one morning thinking, is this really my life? That doesn't automatically mean you need to throw everything away. Sometimes it means you need to start asking yourself questions you've been avoiding. What do I actually want? What am I pretending doesn't bother me? Who am I trying to impress? What am I doing because I love it? And what am I doing because I've become afraid to stop? You don't need perfect answers. You just need honest ones. Because maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're not cold. Maybe you haven't become incapable of loving things. Maybe you've simply spent so much time adapting to what life demanded from you that you've forgotten to check what you actually feel about it. And if that's where you are right now, don't rush to fix yourself. Pay attention. The next time you catch yourself saying, I don't know what I feel, don't immediately reach for your phone. Stay there for another minute. Let the silence be uncomfortable. Something might eventually surface. A feeling, a memory, a want, a boundary, a truth you've been avoiding. And maybe that's where finding yourself again begins. Not with becoming a completely different person, but with finally becoming honest enough to hear the person you've been ignoring. Because sometimes you don't lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself in tiny moments. Every time you say, I'm fine, when you aren't. And you find yourself the same way, one honest feeling at a time.